This time, another hat disaster, how to dehydrate food, a race for a mooring, and the dead potato challenge is on.
Marshall, this is a whole new experience for me. Dead potato with onion. You better deliver.
Just sit back and relax, don't worry. The work can wait. No need to hurry.
Hi, it's Paul from Sailing Cape Louise, and yes, I'm back on the water. It has been about 4 weeks because we've had so much rain in Sydney, it has been crazy. In fact, we've had double the amount of rain we normally get in this period, and there's severe flooding everywhere, especially the Hawkesbury, which flows into the Cowan Creek, which is where I am now. There's quite a bit of debris in the water, and it looks like mud. So, but anyway, at least I'm on the water. I was meant to be going down to St George's Basin and Jervis Bay, which is about 4 hours south from Sydney, to meet up with Dave and see his signet, but they've had even worse flooding down there at St George's Basin. He sent me some pictures of the jetties, and the jetties were actually underwater. I've put that off this week and might get down there in the next couple of weeks.
So instead, I'm going to head from Apple Tree Bay down to Smith's Creek and overnight there.
We are now in autumn, so it's a little bit cooler. Anyway, enjoy. Even though the water's brown, it's nice. Well, that's Smith's Creek down there, but we're going quite well, so I might go a bit further up past Cottage Point, have some lunch and then head down there. So quiet, nobody around. Beautiful. The light of my life tells me I've got to stop saying beautiful all the time. So for my #1 fan, it's a glorious day. Just stopped here for a bit of lunch, opposite Cottage Point. So I've got salmon on a roll. Well, I managed to retrieve my hat. There seems to be a bit of a theme starting here, losing hats. Well, we made it down to Smith's Creek, the bottom of Smith's Creek. There's 4 moorings down here. There's 3 boats down here, which is interesting because it is autumn. The wind's still blowing a bit, so I haven't bothered to put the tarp up yet. I'll do that later. It was an interesting sail today. I think I must have done between 40 and 50 tacks to get down here because we were going right into the wind. It was east-southeaster down here. I was over-tacking by the time we got down here. Oh my goodness. Anyway, it's a challenge, and it's quite narrow, so I don't know what it's like sailing on rivers, but I think I prefer longer legs and more open water. But it is beautiful down here. A lot of people have asked me, how do you make your dehydrated meals that you take on sailing Kate Louise? Well, I've got a dehydrator, and I thought I'd do a little video to show you. So this is how you make a dehydrated meal.
So my dehydrator is just a generic one off eBay. It cost about $65 6 or 7 years ago. And basically it's a glorified hairdryer. This one comes with 7 trays and 3 acrylic trays. The basic trays are great for dehydrating fruits, and you need the acrylic trays if you're going to do something wetter like stews or curries or something like that. I'm just using baking paper to make up some extra trays, as I'll probably need 4 or 5. Some useful tips: make sure your curry or your stew or whatever isn't too wet before you put it on the trays. Obviously you're trying to get rid of the water, so the less water, the less time it's going to take. And also try and only use 1 teaspoon of oil when you're cooking, because oil doesn't get dehydrated, it's only the water, and oil can make your dehydrated meal go off or rancid. This is a vegetarian chili, and it'll take about 7 or 8 hours to dehydrate completely. As my dehydrator cost only $65 and I don't use it that often, it becomes really cost effective, because bought meals can cost about $11 each, so you've only got to use it once and you've virtually paid it off. Every hour or so, check it and rotate the trays so the top one is now the lowest one. The hot air goes down the central column and across the surface of the trays, and then it returns to the top up the sides. You'll know when your meal's fully dehydrated when it becomes really dry like cornflakes. To keep your dehydrated meals fresh, you've already removed the water. Now you need to remove as much air as you can. So I use clip-lock bags. You can also use a vacuum sealer, but I don't have one of those, so I just use clip-lock bags. Remove all the air and then put individual meal bags into a second clip-lock bag, and that should keep all the air out, and then store them in the freezer. They'll last up to about 2 or 3 years.
So here's the dehydrated meal that I made the other day. Basically we're just going to rehydrate it by adding some water. Now the trick is to add a little bit of water to start with. You can always add more, you can't take it away. And that'll probably take about 45 minutes to an hour to rehydrate. I think it's about maybe 6 o'clock, something like that. Normally in Sydney, autumn is a fantastic time to sail because you have blue skies all day and it's a bit crisp at night. We've got some raids coming up, hopefully, down at Jervis Bay or St George's Basin. There's a Viking festival coming up on the June long weekend, so hopefully we'll all get to meet and go down there. You know, because if we're true raiders, we have to be Vikings, surely. Not sure about the costume yet, but stay tuned. So you can probably see my mooring protector. It's basically some camping mats that I've tied together and I put around the mooring or the buoy, so when it bangs in the middle of the night it doesn't make such a noise and it protects the paintwork. He's my buddy. So dinghy cruising, I love it. I just like being out in the Australian bush, you know. You can get to some great places. It's a bit like camping on water, you know what I mean? And you've got the added benefit of sailing as well. I saw Holly's last post and I was really impressed. Yeah, bringing up kids in Tasmania, all with their own boats sailing. What more could you ask for? Fantastic. So here's Conrad and Andy that have come up and they've hired a couple of cats for the weekend. So I'm reckoning that's looking pretty good. And when you think it's back to what it looked like originally, time to heat it up and eat it. And guess what? I'm going to have it with the famous dead potato. Yes, Marshall's dead potato that he gave me on the last raid. What's it taste like, Marshall?
It is delicious, really, Paul.
The bee's knees. With onion, you have to have with onion. I'm looking forward to this because I've heard so much about dead potato. I still haven't got a crate of it from Continental, but I'm living in hope. Well, actually, I haven't tasted it yet, so we'll reserve comment until I've tasted it. But yes, Marshall's dead potato with onion. It's going to be fantastic. And for all those overseas viewers who've got no idea what dead potato is, well, it's an Australian classic dried potato that probably has been around for 30 or 40 years. So all those people that used to go camping as kids probably know what dead potato is. I remember camping in England, we had some sort of dried potato mix, and it was absolutely awful. Hopefully this is better. We'll see. Marshall, this is a whole new experience for me. Dead potato with onion. You better deliver. I think I only need about half a packet. I reckon that's enough. Not too much water. Now I'm going to add just a little bit of milk. Vegetarian milk, of course. Actually, that's not too bad. Tastes like mashed potato, much better than what I remember as a kid. So I'm just heating up the beans now, the rehydrated beans, which I think look pretty good. And then I think we're good to go. So we've got chili with dead potato. That is really good, trust me. Dead potato. Where are you, Continental? I need more. I have to say, Marshall, you have delivered. I should never have doubted you. Dead potato with onion is really, really good. So dehydrated meals for dinghy cruising. Give it a go, it's worth it. Well, it's a beautiful night. The wind's died down, moon's come out. It's beautiful. See you in the morning. Well, good morning. It did rain quite a bit last night. Everything was a bit wet this morning. And quite heavy dew this morning, and it's very foggy. It's beautiful. It's probably only about 6 o'clock, something like that. I just heard a plane go over, and Sydney Airport doesn't open until 6 o'clock in the morning. So that's a pretty good gauge of the time. Just the birds, beautiful. taken shelter. It started raining again. It's pretty heavy too. And I was going to have cereal for breakfast, but I think it's needs something a bit more substantial with the weather being as it is. So I'm going to have baked beans on toast. It's not really toast, but you get the idea. Not bad. Got my little tray to eat off. This is something hot. Well, I hope this rain stops because I've got to get back. And there's zero wind at the moment. And for all those people that say, oh, you sail in such beautiful places, the sun's always shining. Well, it normally is. But this is just to prove it does rain in Sydney as well. In fact, the last couple of months have just been unbelievable. Haven't seen anything like it for years. Well, we're off again. I think it's probably about 10:30 in the morning now. The rain has stopped. There's a little bit of blue sky. Not a lot of wind, but I think it will pick up later. So I'm just motoring out into the main sort of channel, see if there's any wind out there. That's definitely a have, not a have not. So we've reached Cowan Creek, having motored for about 45 minutes up from the bottom of Smith's Creek, and I was hoping there'd be wind up here. There might be half a knot if we're lucky. So I've poled out the main. See if that makes any difference. We are moving, just, but at this rate it could take days. Well, it's a slow sail, but we are actually moving. Probably doing, I don't know, 1 knot maybe 2. Thanks for watching. I'll see you somewhere on the water next time.